Back in 2014, I was deployed in the Middle East. I used to be in the army, and at that point in my life, the army was the only constant. I was lamenting that I could not see my daughter, not only because I was very far away, she too, in kind, was very far away from me, even if I went back home. She had already moved with her mother to Alaska. To make things worse, I had no career waiting for me back home. I didn't have the freedom that I wanted, that the military could not give me. I didn't have the money that I thought that I would have. And so the things that I wanted in life were not coming to me. There is this feeling of being stuck where you're afraid to make a move. If you change something, things might get worse. There's, again, no money to make a move. I can't travel, and I'm doing what has worked for me this far. I start looking for a solution, and once I put my pros and cons list, I figure out that web development is the solution for my problem. I mean, it has everything. I can work from home. I can either try to work with a company or look for clients as a freelancer. The money is not bad at all. It's amazing, and it will offer me the opportunity to travel, see my daughter, and do all the things that we want to do when we're young. When you're watching this video, you're gonna learn how easy it was for me to get a job in web development, even with no experience and no contacts. There were a few phases in this journey to become a web developer. Once I got back home from the military, I was in the student phase where I was looking for all the resources available to learn this craft. I started like many people with free resources out there like Codecademy and Free Code Camp until that was not enough. Then I went and started paying for courses to brush up on specific problems that I was having. A really funny one was when after I just learned HTML and CSS, which is the basic things you need to know to learn how to build a website. I thought that at that point I knew everything I needed to know to make a career. Now, I made a website. I was coding on my personal computer. Then I went to a friend's house to show him, but I showed him through a laptop. And when I saw the website on the laptop, it did not look the way that I had coded it back home. So I took his computer, I got access to my files, and I modified everything to make it look nice on that screen. Upon coming back home, I checked everything again on my PC only to find out that now it looks messed up on my PC. Well, I had just discovered something called responsive web design, and that was a turning point for me in realizing how big and how vast this industry is, how much I needed to learn. Now, that did not discourage me. I kept going. In fact, I just doubled down. I got into a point where I was out with friends drinking, having fun, and the only thing that I could think was how to solve the next problem. My first big win came when I was visiting a chiropractor for an injury that I incurred on my service. And I did a little bit of research before I went to the appointment. I tried to see whether the chiropractor had or not a website. Now, I did not find anything, and upon visiting the doctor, I asked him, "Hey, I know I tried to look up your website, but I could not find it." And he said, "Oh, yeah, I do have one." And I was like, "Really?" Because I work with websites. And this is when he mentioned, "Oh, that's amazing because I'm actually trying to build one on WordPress, but I just don't know how to finish it. It's too complex. And so he came up with the idea of making an exchange where I would get free adjustments from him in exchange for helping him with his website. This consisted of helping him make changes with the copy and general layout of the website. Very basic for someone who's just starting. It was a perfect opportunity. It made me feel like I have something of value. I can build things, and I'm not even that far into my journey. That was very encouraging at the time. I got free adjustments for a year, and I feel like I didn't do that much. But that's what happens when you have solutions for people's problems. In the next phase, now I'm not so much, I'm still a beginner, but now I'm very familiar with JavaScript as a programming language and how to manipulate the DOM. By this point, I told everybody what I wanted to be, and I wanted to be a web developer. And so many of my friends knew me for that. At one point, I had a friend whose older cousin worked for a startup, and he had asked of my friend that they needed 3 interns. Now, because I was very vocal about my goals, naturally my friend thought of myself and another friend of ours. And so the three of us got an internship. Working for this startup gave me a taste of what my life could be. We were working in San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico, in a very beautiful tourist area. Parking is very limited, and it just so happens that one of our perks is free parking. Now, this just made my imagination soar with the opportunities that I was going to have in the future. Remember that precisely this freedom, the money aspect, these are all things that drew me into web development in the first place. Now, not everything was perfect at the startup, and for reasons that I'm not gonna get into right now, one by one, everybody started getting fired over a period of 3 months. At the end, I was the only one left standing. I suspect that my employer, he did not want to fire me. There wasn't anybody to fire me at that point, so I just called it quits. And so I find myself back unemployed, not knowing what to do. It is about Christmas time, and I remember doubling down again, studying anything that's gonna give me an edge to get another foothold in this industry. Then it occurred to me after New Year's to send a message to my old supervisor who worked with me at the startup. He was about the second or third person to be fired back then. And I asked him whether he knew about any opportunities for myself. He responded saying that he had an even better offer for me. He was just starting a new company, and he offered me the opportunity to split it 50-50 if I help him get it off the ground. Of course, this aligned with my goal of having freedom, being my own boss, working whenever I wanted. So I took him on the offer, and so we started working contracts with local companies who needed help to develop their services. At that point, I was learning so much every day working with different companies. I got a lot of experience managing clients, managing expectations, working with different technologies that I had to learn very quickly in order to get them off the ground. It is at this moment in time that I realized I had achieved my goal of becoming a web developer. I was doing it every day, I was enjoying it, and more important than anything, I was working with my friends and I was having fun. Remember back in the beginning, I was lamenting not being able to see my daughter. Now, I was traveling to bring her back home several times a year so that she could see my family and we could spend time together. This is definitely how making this decision of learning a professional skill set, in this case web development, helped me feel that need that I was suffering from a few years ago. Now, one key takeaway that I want you guys to take from this is at no point in time I went through a formal interview process. Everything that I achieved up to that point was just through networking. And when I say networking, I did not know anybody. Everybody that I met that helped me get to my goal, I met them after I decided to that my goal was going to be to become a web developer. I did this by talking to everybody that I could. I would study at a Starbucks. I would interact with the people who I saw every day over there. And over time, I started to making a list of people who knew me, and not only did they know me personally, they knew what I did. And well, they saw me every day learning and working. I hope that this inspires you to make the jump if this is something that you are also interested in. I'm not gonna say that there weren't any dips and lows, but definitely getting here was worth it. Thank you for listening to me and take care. See you in the next one.